He died at his home in Montauk, east of New York. Assistant Jackob Holder said, "No cause of death was immediately given, although he had suffered from diabetes." With the deaths of Arthur Miller and August Wilson in 2005, he was arguably America's greatest living playwright. Several years ago, before undergoing extensive surgery, Albee penned a note to be issued at the time of his death. "To all of you who have made my being alive so wonderful, so exciting and so full, my thanks and all my love." Albee was proclaimed the playwright of his generation after his blistering Who's Afraid of Virginia? Woolf opened on Broadway in 1962. The Tony-winning play, still widely considered Albee's finest, was made into an award-winning 1966 film starring Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. The play's sharp-tongued humor and dark themes were the hallmarks of Albee's style. In more than 30 plays, Albee skewered such mainstays of American culture as marriage, child-rearing, religion and upper-class comforts. "If you have no wounds, how can you know you're alive?" a character asks in Albee's 1996 The Play About the Baby. "It's just a quirk of the brain that makes one a playwright," Albee said in 2008. "I have the same experiences that everybody else does. But I feel the need to translate a lot of what happens to me, a lot of what I think, into a play." Edward Albee was one of the great playwrights of our time. Rip Mr. Albee. Albee challenged audiences to question their assumptions about society and about theatre itself. He did it with humor and a sense of linguistic delight, using withering barbs and wordplay to hint at deeper meaning. Praise for the playwright came from far and wide on Twitter after his death. Mia Farrow, who was in a staged reading of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, called Albee one of the great playwrights of our time. Michael McKean wrote, "There was only one Edward Albee. Irreplaceable." Playwright Lynn Nottage wrote, "I will miss his wit, irreverence and wisdom. He enlivened the theatre landscape." Albee's unconventional style won him great acclaim but also led to a nearly 20-year drought of critical and commercial recognition before his 1994 play, Three Tall Women, garnered his third Pulitzer Prize. His other Pulitzers were for A Delicate Balance, 1967, and Seascape, 1975. Many of his productions in the years after Seascape were savaged by the press as inconsequential trickery, a shadow of his former works. But after Three Tall Women, a play he called An Exorcising of Demons, he had several major productions, including The Play About the Baby and The Goater Who is Sylvia, which won him his second Tony for Best Play in 2002. Many of his works had similar things in common: domestic rancor inflamed by booze, a sense of unknown anxiety, a lost child who creates a marital friction, and precise but flailing language that alternates between comic and profound. In interviews, Albee recoiled at the idea of drawing parallels between his works between his cynical outlook and his unhappy childhood. "Each play of mine has a distinctive story to tell," he told the Santa Fe New Mexican in 2001. Albee was born in 1928 and was adopted by a wealthy suburban New York couple. His father, Reed Albee, ran the Keith Albee chain of vaudeville theaters. His mother, Frances Albee, was a socialite and a commanding presence who kept a hold on him for much of his life. Estranged from his parents, Albee moved to New York and worked as a messenger for Western Union before gaining notice with the Zoo Story, a one-act play written in 1958 about two strangers meeting on a bench in Central Park, with Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and 1964's Tiny Alice. Albee shook up a Broadway that had been dominated by Tennessee Williams, Miller and their intellectual disciples. Saddened by the news of Edward Albee's death, he redefined what our theatre could talk about and how. Bravo, Maestro, Bravissimo, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, presents an all-night drinking bout in which a middle-aged professor and his wife verbally spar and unravel their illusions during a visit by a younger couple. It won 5 Tonys including Best Play, Actor, Arthur Hill, and Actress, Uta Hagen, and the film version won 5 Oscars including Best Actress, Taylor, and Supporting Actress, Sandy Dennis. Albee also directed the American premieres of many of his plays, starting with Seascape in 1975. Seascape and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf were revived on Broadway in 2005, and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf was revived on Broadway again in 2013. A Delicate Balance was revived a year later, starring Glenn Close. Seeing 3 Tall Women, Why Too Young, Made Me Fall in Love. W Theatre. Edward Albee is a legend. Genius. Treasure. #Zoo Story. #Virginia Woolf. Albee brought back the Zoo Story to startling effect in 2007 with Edward Albee's Peter and Jerry. The shattering encounter between 2 strangers in a park that is the Zoo Story became the second act of the new work. The first act was based on Albee's much later home life. It was one of a number of fruitful productions around the time Albee turned 80 in 2008. That year saw the world premiere of his play about identical twins, Me, Myself and I, in Princeton, New Jersey, a New York revival of 2 of his early one-act classics, The American Dream and The Sandbox, and the premiere of Edward Albee's Occupant, about sculptor Louise Nevelson and the cult of celebrity. Albee was honored by the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in 1996 for his lifetime contributions. Then President Bill Clinton praised Albee as a man who inspired a generation of American dramatists. Clinton also awarded Albee a National Medal of the Arts that year. Into his 70s, Albee continued to write provocative and unconventional plays. In The Goater Who is Sylvia, the main character falls in love with a goat. Albee's longtime companion, sculptor Jonathan Thomas, died in 2005. News.com. Ours privacy policy includes important information about our collection, use and disclosure of your personal information, including to provide you with targeted content and advertising based on your online activities. It explains that if you do not provide us with information we have requested from you, we may not be able to provide you with the goods and services you require. It also explains how you can access or seek correction of your personal information, how you can complain about a breach of the Australian privacy principles and how we will deal with a complaint of that nature.